Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and these are my favorite books of 2021. In reading my list of my favorite books for 2021, I saw from the favorites that began to emerge, there were some commonalities between all of them. So I've organized this list into 5 categories that I think really encompass the majority of the books that I enjoyed the most this year. It's not from least favorite to most favorite because honestly, I just can't really rank these books, especially since I read so widely. It doesn't make sense to rank a romance novel up against a really hard-hitting nonfiction book. That just doesn't really work in my brain. So I've organized this list into these 5 categories. There's 15 books and I enjoyed all of them. I do also want to mention that I'm not going to go into depth about what these books are about because I've talked about them pretty extensively in other videos on my channel, all of which will be linked down in the description box below. The first category of books are books that had really good reporting. One example of that was The Sum of Us: What Racism Costs Everyone and How We Can Prosper Together by Heather McGhee. Another one was What You're Getting Wrong About Appalachia by Elizabeth Catt. The next one was Eat the Buddha: Life and Death in a Tibetan Town by Barbara Demick. And the last one in this category, and perhaps the most exemplary of all of them, is Yellowbird: Oil, Murder, and Woman's Search for Justice in Indian Country by Sierra Crane Murdoch. My next category of books were books that were about reflecting, thinking, and growing, and this is a mixture of both nonfiction and fiction books. The first of those being The Story of a New Name by Elena Ferrante. The next one is Two Trees Make a Forest: Travels Among Taiwan's Mountains and Coasts in Search of My Family's Past by Jessica J. Lee. The next one is All We Can Save: Truth, Courage, and Solutions for the Climate Crisis, edited by Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson and Catherine K. Wilkinson. I will also just plug the How to Save a Planet podcast, as that's something I listened to a lot this year, and Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, until recently, was a co-host on that podcast, so I would highly recommend you check that out as well. My other 2 books in this reflecting, thinking, growing category were The Heart Principle by Helen Huang and Beautiful World: Where Are You by Sally Rooney. Another category of my favorite books of 2020 that really kind of stood out against a lot of the rest of my reading were the short story collections I read this year. And my favorite short story collection of the year was probably Sight Fidelity by Claire Boyles, which I love this entire collection and I would highly recommend it. A number of the stories have reoccurring characters, which always is something that works really well for me, but 2 of my absolute favorite stories from the collection were the first story, Ledgers, and then Sister Agnes Mary in the spring of 2012, which is one of the interconnected stories. A few other kind of honorable mentions of particular stories that I really enjoyed this year include Necessary Bodies from Milk, Blood, Heat by Danielle Moniz, Anything Could Disappear from the Office of Historical Corrections by Danielle Evans, Anne of Cleves from Filthy Animals by Brandon Taylor, and When in Dordogne from 5 Tuesdays in Winter by Lily King. Then my next category, which is kind of an honorable mention category, as these books were not quite as exemplary as some of the other books that I've talked about, but I still did want to mention them, and that's my romance reading category. So my 3 favorite romances that I read this year were To Love and to Loathe by Martha Waters, Pagan Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert, and Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. And then finally, I read 2 ghosty books this year. Actually, both of them I read in June, and they really made me kind of think and reflect on things, and I've continued to think about them through the rest of the year, and those were Ophie's Ghost by Justina Ireland and Ghost in a Black Girl's Throat by Kalisa Ray. So those are the 15 books that I would say are my favorite standout reads of 2021. Have you read any of these books? If so, please do let me know down in the comment section below. In addition, I'd love to hear any of your favorite reads or any reads that you're really looking forward to in 2022. If you're new to my channel, I'd love to have you stick around and subscribe. I hope you're having a great rest of your day whenever you watch this, and I will talk to you next time.